Hi guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to decorate Easter eggs with my sunflower wrap. This is the third egg wrap in my collection. Here is my first one, which is a leaf wrap, and here is my second one, which is a poppy wrap. I call these wraps because I really don't know what else to call them. They're not exactly like the cellophane sleeves we all know as wraps, but for the most part they attach onto your egg as a single piece. So a wrap is the best name I could come up with. Who knows, maybe I've started a new category in Easter egg decorating and someone will come up with a more appropriate name at some point. If sunflowers aren't your thing, you can make these in any color, and the flowers are shaped generically enough that they can look like daisies or coneflowers, so these don't necessarily have to be sunflowers. So the best way I've found to glue my wraps onto your egg is to decoupage them, which you guys probably already know. It's where you are not only gluing them onto the egg, but you're also completely covering everything in glue. You can either use simple white glue for this, or you can use Mod Podge, which is a glue meant specifically for decoupage. I've tried both and there isn't much difference in the outcome. Neither of them leave a sticky surface, so you won't need a finishing layer. My recommendation is to just use glue if you don't have Mod Podge, but make sure it's not the quick drying white glue. That's the only one I wouldn't use because you may end up with a bumpy finish because the quick drying glue is thicker. My wraps are designed to fit onto extra large size eggs. I know this is hard to gauge because eggs are categorized differently depending on where you are, so I would say just use any size you have. If the wrap overlaps itself because your egg is smaller, it's not going to ruin the design. And you're probably wondering why I have an X-Acto knife here. We are not going to be doing any cutting. I use the sharp point of the knife to pick up small pieces, which we'll be doing with the sunflowers. So let me quickly take you through what you'll be cutting with your machine. This piece here is the main wrap. We'll be gluing this onto our egg first. We will need a total of 10 flowers per egg, so I've gone ahead and multiplied the flowers 10 times, so you will just be cutting exactly what's in your download. Each flower is made up of 2 layers of petals, so for my first layer I'm using a golden yellow color, and for my second layer I'm using a straight up yellow color. And here we have our flower centers. Now you're going to need an egg stand of some sort like the one you see here for when we're letting our wrap dry. I made this one out of plain paper, so let me show you quickly how to do that. Get some plain paper, or colored if you want to use the stand for displaying your egg and you want it to be a little bit fancier. Cut a strip about 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. The width will determine the height of your stand, so you can decide how high you want it to be. Then roll your strip up so the ends overlap, and using some Scotch tape, just tape the ends together. Try to make sure your ends line up so your egg can sit up straighter. And you want your egg to somewhat sink into the circle, so don't make your circle too small. And if some of the ends don't line up, just trim it off. And there's your egg stand. Now let's start decorating our egg. We are going to begin by gluing the center of the wrap to the center of the egg. Every egg has a slightly pointier end, and here I'm going to flip my egg over so the rounder end is facing up. And this is the end we'll be working with. We want to find the center of the top of your egg, and the way I do it is I turn my egg sideways and then just gauge where you think the top center is and place a dab of glue up there. And then when you turn your egg, you can then correct it if you're way off center. This doesn't have to be very accurate. Place a generous dollop of glue on that spot, then take your wrap, and it doesn't matter which way your wrap is facing, either side will work. Place your wrap on the glue and then press down. And now set your egg aside to dry for a few minutes. And while we're waiting for that to dry, we can assemble our sunflowers. Each sunflower is going to be made up of 2 layers, and as I said earlier, I'm using 2 different yellows. You can use the same yellow, not a big deal. I like to use 2 layers because it creates a fuller flower. So we'll just be placing one layer on top of the other, and just make sure you turn the layers so that the petals aren't directly on top of each other. So basically just start a production line here and just place some glue in the center of all your bottom petals. Then take your top petals and place them on top. And here's where I use the sharp end of my X-Acto knife to pick up that top petal piece. And once you're done with that, glue on your center pieces. And now our sunflowers are done. We can let them dry and get back to our egg. Here is our egg with the wrap glued on. Start with any branch and put some glue or Mod Podge on the side of the wrap that's going to be touching your egg surface. Just generously spread glue all over that branch. Then press it down onto your egg and put some more glue onto the other side. One thing I should mention here is I'm using a pretty heavy cardstock. It's an 80-pound cardstock. I would recommend a lighter weight, like a 60 or 65 pound. And the reason is you're going to see that I have to work a little bit harder here to get the leaves to lay flat on the egg. The heavier cardstock, it takes a while for the glue to soften the paper, and with lighter weight paper, that'll happen faster for you. And I could be wrong here, but I wouldn't go any lighter, like to a text weight paper, just because the glue does really soften the paper and you might end up tearing the paper as you're brushing the glue on. I could be wrong about this. Let me know in the comments if you have more experience with decoupage. So just keep gluing down all your branches one by one, and go back to check on the other branches that you've glued, pressing down on any corners that have raised up off your egg. When your whole wrap has been glued down, finish up with a final layer of glue to smooth everything out. And when you're finished, place your egg on a holder to dry. While your egg is drying, make sure to come back to it every few minutes and pick it up off its stand so it doesn't stick to the stand. Once your egg is dry, you can start gluing on your sunflowers. With the multiple layers, these flowers are pretty thick, so we are going to just glue them on rather than decoupaging them. So all you need to do is find all your stem ends and place a generous dab of glue, then just press each flower on. One thing to note here is if you find some spots getting crowded, just place your flowers wherever you think is the best spot. They don't necessarily need to sit right at the ends of the stems. And that's it. Now just let it dry and your sunflower egg is done. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you ever have any suggestions or ideas for future projects, I'm happy to hear them, so feel free to let me know in the comments for any of my videos. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe below. Thanks, guys.